many people, both Christians and non-Christians, have the impression that to follow Jesus means to be religious and requires a lot of our own effort and sacrifices. And to start life as a true, faithful Christian, we must abandon this false notion and rather hear what Jesus has to say about following him. Now, throughout the Bible, Jesus uses parables and analogies to illustrate his message to us. This makes being a Christian beautifully simplistic. One of the most vivid pictures that Jesus helps to illustrate our relationship with God is found in John 15, verses 1 to 6. As with many of Jesus' recorded words, this is another analogy. Jesus has already said, "I am the bread of life," in John 6:35. "I am the light of the world," in John 8, verse 12. "I am the door," John 10, verse 9. "I am the way," John 14, verse 6. And now, the night before he dies, he says, "I am the vine." Now, John 15, verses 1 to 6 are the verses I'll be focusing on throughout. And they read, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch of mine that bears no fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. You are already made clean by the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branches cannot bear fruit by itself, unless it abides in the vine, neither can you, unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, he it is that bears fruit, nothing bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. If a man does not abide in me, he is cast forth as branches and withers, and the branches are gathered and thrown into the fire and burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you will, and it shall be done for you." That includes verse 7 as well. From these verses, I have three main concepts that I'll pose in the form of questions. Now, the reason for this is that I don't want to just spit out words that may or may not mean anything to you, but I want to actually challenge you and see what this passage means to you. As with many verses in the Bible, it takes the right place and the right time and the wisdom of God to reveal what the verses mean. So the first question I want to ask is, what is the fruit? By that, I'm asking, how can we tell that we are being fruitful branches rather than branches that are cut off and thrown to the fire? Now, when I read these verses and hear the fruits that are mentioned, it always brings to mind the fruit that is mentioned in Galatians 5, verse 22 and 23, which reads, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against these things there is no law." These are the qualities that those who follow Christ should be expressing. These are the qualities of a Christian or Christ-like character. Now, even though most fail in presenting all of these qualities all the time, they're qualities that show the love of Christ through us. The second question I have is, how are we fed? As a vine needs fertilizer to grow, we need fertilizer to grow. What is our fertilizer? It is said in Matthew 4 verse 4, "But he answered, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." I think this sums it up nicely. As metaphorical branches, we are fed the Word to keep us alive and well nourished. The Word is the fertilizer for us branches, who should be bearing love and joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, so that we can show the world the works of Christ through us. Now the last question I have is this: what does pruning look like? Think about a grapevine in a garden, and you would probably agree that the purpose of the vine is to grow fruit, to feed our stomachs, and bring joy, right? But as with planting any fruit, to bear more fruit, you need to prune more branches. Now, if you were to ask a plant, I'm pretty sure they would agree with me when I say that pruning is a painful process. However, this isn't meant to be a punishment for Christians. In fact, it is said to be a reward. Now, at the time, it may not seem like that. Things being brutally cut out of your life, or challenges arising, or the sudden loss of a close friend. However, if you want to be alive on the vine and to bear fruit, you need a gardener or a vine dresser to trim and train you to grow in the right direction. Even though this pruning is a painful process to go through at the time, if someone turns to Romans 5 verses 2 to 4, we can read there how this pruning can actually help us through life. It reads, "We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us to develop endurance. And endurance develops strength of character. And character strengthens our confidence of hope. Knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope."